Like some of you know, LA is on fire. And this time, it's not the forest and the bushes. But it looks like the Fed's taking it back. So let's get right into it. Let's watch.
Funny how you can finally have a peaceful protest when you just let the police go Rambo mode, as the anti-Trump No Kings protests march through the streets of downtown Los Angeles, with Elijah Schaffer showing us they're just walking around.
I think I think this is a perfect example of what's going on in America. The wealthy people pretending to be with the poor people while completely ignoring the poor people and their needs. I think this is the perfect example.
The homeless because Trump is the problem in LA, waving all sorts of confusing, long-winded signs.
What do we have here?
Trump is the problem in LA, waving all sorts.
Racism is so American that when you protest it, people are, I can't read that, defy Trump's Gestapo. What do you mean by that? The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, Homeland Security, you know, all the things that existed way before he came in power? Or the police, which also existed way before he came into power? Are these the things you are protesting? I wonder. No king since 1776. Yeah, you fought a war for that. Yeah, you know the thing that you would never do because you are a weak little, you know.
Sorts of confusing, long-winded signs, including tax the rich.
Funny. LA is a city of immigrants. That's not written correctly. He must live in Germany. Germany would love to take him in. I saw a statistic. Oh, it's not good. Oh, it's not good. Germany is screwed.
LA is a city of immigrants, and JD Vance ate my son. But the real issue was what they were saying.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything, and I don't understand why people did and voted for this person.
Including
Why are you scared of Trump? You're obviously not a migrant. I mean, I hear zero dialects in her. So she's not a migrant. Why is she scared? Of what? There is no reason for her to be scared. What she should be scared of is inflation. That should scare her. And how lax the government in California is on crime and criminals. That's also insane.
sacrifice ourselves as human shields.
And then we gotta put our bodies on the front line when needed. Find and follow leaders of color first.
What? What stupid thing did she say?
Find and follow leaders of color first. And then we gotta put our bodies on the front line when needed.
Okay.
Find and follow leaders of color first.
So let me get this straight. You want to form a body shield of the people of color. You can't make this up. The left is so stupid that they don't even realize how racist they are. She literally says, let's put the non-white people in front so they get shot first. I mean, This is so dumb. These people are so stupid. It's incredible.
And then when they ask you to be a shield.
What? If they ask you to be a shield, be a shield. Okay, you want to put the black people in front, and then when the black people ask you to be a shield, be their shield? Jesus Christ, these people are nuts.
Imagine showing up to this protest because social media told you Trump is a dictator. Then some lady on stage tells you you're here to be a human shield. That's some weapons grade brainwashing if you stay, as they definitely knew.
Oh wait, I had to. Sorry guys, video was too loud. I didn't realize.
They'd need some human shields. As the LA sheriffs came in with massive numbers, almost like a show
That's
of
a
force
lot.
parade. And Anthony Cabasa records how they brought back the armored cowboy cop cavalry, who immediately
Wow.
got to business pushing the
Look at them. These people can barely run. And they wanna fight the government. Oh, these people are so stupid.
protests away. With MSNBC desperately trying to control the narrative.
So you can see, whoa, they're messing with the horses, guys. Let's go. Let's back up here. Obviously, people are unhappy, Ari. People don't want to see horses trampling. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Whoa. We're
The
good,
horses
Ari.
aren't trampling anyone.
We're good. Keep going. We're good.
I understand he's trying to get out of the way for his own safety, but it really seems like he's trying not to show you how these idiots are antagonizing the police horses, as they'll complain about the police shoving back this old man, but ignore how he basically forced them to do it, as these police horses are actually doing
That's what they always do. They ignore the things that show what's happening, actually happening, and show the aftermath of what happened. So that they look good and the opposition to them looks bad. Hey there. That's typical of socialists. And yes, socialists, not leftists, socialists. Yeah. You have to know history to know what I'm saying.
a great job at crowd control. And for whatever these horseback cowboy cops can't, they tear gas can.
Look at that front line. I'm at the wrong. Give you a. Jesus. That's an M4 or AR-15. That's probably the same. And grenade launcher for the tear gas. Nope, I haven't.
Tear gas can.
Yes, that looks like tear gas. There's a. This guy got a gas mask. This guy seems to have one. I can see this guy, but might. People up there have masks, but not gas masks.
So when these activists tried to take back some of the street, the sheriffs had no issues marching right through.
Yeah, this looks like an easy job for them. No, I wouldn't be opposed.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly, and in the name of the people of the state of California, order all those assembled to street.
With the LAPD looking like a scene from the Revolutionary War.
All this stuff, by the way, reminds me massively of movies from the early 90s, end of the 80s, where they were showing the LA in the future being exactly like this, but kind of even worse. Basically a war zone.
As the city eventually devolved into a combat zone.
They are surrounded.
I
Why
really
would you go
wonder-
to the police? Why the hell was he at the cops? A second ago he wasn't there, and then all of a sudden there was a guy.
If the mayor let local law enforcement do this 6 days ago, would they have been able to destroy any cop cars or loot any stores? As it
No, they couldn't have done that because the cops would have been there. You have to understand that the mayor and the mayor of LA and the governor of California are on the side of the protesters because they are getting paid by the same people as the protesters. And we all know that because we can just follow the money.
really seems she only let the police do their thing so they don't get showed up by Trump's Marines, as a USMC stayed at the ready outside the federal building, with BG on the scene showing us them shaming the Marines. But treating them drastically differently, as they're not playing with paintballs, the Marines are carrying M27s. Interesting when you don't treat them like peaceful protesters, but idiots that just raised the city for several days, they suddenly know how to behave. As
Yeah, it's funny, like the people that never see consequences all of a sudden start to behave when they see consequences.
local KTLA showed us how quickly they quelled the crowds, but also stating this was following a day of peaceful No Kings protests.
It's like back in 2016, or when Floyd died of overdose. The same thing when BLM peacefully protested and burned down and looted a bunch of grocery stores and houses.
Conveniently omitting how the LAPD reported concrete, rocks, bottles, and commercial-grade fireworks being flung at police officers. And I admit, unlike the riots, there wasn't any burning of police vehicles or looting of sushi restaurants, but likely because they were actually allowed to immediately arrest any bad actors, as several cities like San Diego had peaceful protests. Even over in Philadelphia, it was much of the same. But if all these American flags at a liberal protest seem unfamiliar, it's because somebody was paying to have them massively distributed. And they want the only city astroturfing their protests with pro-American sentiments. But
So if you give them something for free, they use it. Basically, that's what's going on here. It is kind of surprising. Oh, this is stupid. We the people were not meant to kneel. Uh-huh. Sure. And of course, it looks like they are all women. Yeah, how much you wanna bet they kneel a lot in front of men? Making this poster just ironic.
over in Texas, they had a very different approach to the No Kings movement. It's always interesting that they keep referencing a fictional story about oppressing women, while simultaneously they're openly endorsing the mass importing of a certain belief system into this country that is incredibly oppressive to women, and you don't have to watch a TV show, it's actually happening. I'm not trying to say they're wrong, I'm not trying to say they're right, I'm just saying it looks stupid, but at least
As a German, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Otherwise, I go to prison. So I'm not gonna talk about that. The same is happening here.
At least they were peaceful, unlike in Washington where they pelted the police vehicles driving away. And in Seattle, scared drivers actually drove through their makeshift barricades. Then in Salt Lake City, there was a shooting.
Again, it's just so early right now. Fortunately, we have everyone involved in custody, and we're going to be sorting that out. We also had a lot of witnesses, and we're talking with the witnesses as well to see what we can learn.
But when looking at all the protest coverage, they barely seem to acknowledge it. And over in Portland, they're angry at the coppers pointing weapons at them, when later, they actually invaded an ICE facility, injuring several officers. Which really makes you wonder, if they had the Marines, would any of this be happening?
No. Because the moment they try to get into the building violently, the Marines would start shooting. That's what I expect. That's what I expect, and I personally would hope. Because these people need to learn their lessons. These are the kind of people who in their entire life never had any real hardship, never felt any actual pain. That's why they behave like that.
As over in New Jersey, they allegedly were protesting another federal building when a riot broke out and 4 known criminals ended up escaping. And did any of these activists step back and think, okay, maybe we're not necessarily accomplishing anything? No, they just mindlessly do whatever the mob tells them. As this No Kings rally is essentially against Trump's deportations. But as
let's see what they say.
As this
anti-Trump demonstrators crowd streets, parks and plazas across the US organizers. Blah blah blah. What are the anti-Trump No Kings protests planned across the US? What? Okay. No Kings protests across the US oppose Trump policies. Live updates. Mass protests against Trump across US as president holds huge military parade. Recap. No Kings rally ends in Philly after thousands march against Trump. Okay.
No Kings rally is essentially against Trump's deportations. But as of April, he's only shipped off 140,000 people. And I'm not a math Asian.
400,000? That's not a lot. But if that's all criminals, that's a lot.
But I think 140 in 4 months, multiplied by 3 to make the year, and times 4 for 4 years in office, should only make 1.6 million, which is nothing compared to how many people Obama deported without due process.
That's a funny. That's the most funny thing. The left doesn't acknowledge that, you know, Obama, Hillary, Bill Clinton, they all did the same thing as Trump. They all said the same things as Trump. And they were in parts even way worse. Like the thing with the children in cages. He did that. Under his presidency, that was implemented. But imagine telling these people that the black guy is putting children into cages. Now that would be great.
And as Mays Moore shows us, he even campaigned on it, and they still voted for him.
The Bush administration has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the border.
See? See? He just said it. Ah, this is great.
It has become an extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. As president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need.
Obama?
He said it. If Trump would say the same, they would hate him for it.
Obama is basically a MAGA conservative by today's standards, but the left
Yes.
simply adores him only because nobody has told them not to, as they have zero virtues, just NPC talking points to parrot. But the big question here is, if everybody should be allowed to simply walk in and become an American, with everything going on in the Middle East, with our
God.
allies' city being struck. As they continue to attack our enemies. If America gets involved in a hot conflict, do these newcomers get sent to the front line to die, or is that specifically reserved for American-born men? As we
Especially the white ones. And I think I'm not allowed to say it because I live in Germany and I can get arrested for everything. So I have to be really, really careful here.
saw in the recent war in Eastern Europe, refugees that received social services for years immediately fled the country. And I honestly don't think
Wanna hear something funny? The first things to leave the Ukraine when Russia attacked? The Jews. And after them all the migrants, all the people that studied there, all the non-white people, they all left. It's not my war. You know, studying there, working there, taking full advantage of the country, yes. But the moment shit gets hot, they're gone.
somebody should be forced to the front lines to fight someone else's war. But when you have massive amounts of people demanding that they deserve to stay in America, so much that they're willing to destroy the city to prove their loyalty, should the need arise, are the Democrats then going to ask or even draft them to fight? And that answer tells you everything. Don't doom scroll on social media all day when you have my concise, light-order commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, so subscribe to Decoy Voice.
Do that. Do that. Great video. Like he always does. I think I've never seen a video of him that's not good. So yeah. That's getting a like. Good video.